Hello, this is Fiona Stanton from Fee's Papercraft. Today I wanted to talk to you about the new watercolour pencils that Stampin' Up have brought out. Here is a box. There is 12 colours, as you can see. They're all current Stampin' Up colours. You have got Real Red, Calypso Coral, Pumpkin Pie, Daffodil Delight, Old Olive, Bermuda Bay, Pacific Point, Rich Raspberry, Melon Mamba, Early Espresso and Basic Grey, Basic Grey, Basic Black and Whisper White. So the Basic Grey, Basic Black and Whisper White are really good for highlights and adding depth and dimension to your projects. These are, like all watercolour pencils, they are highly pigmented in a water-based binder, which means you can use them as ordinary colouring pencils to colour in. But as soon as you add water, they become like paint and you're able to do a whole load of watercolour techniques, which is very good. But obviously there are some watercolour techniques you can only do with paints, but the benefit of pencils is they are portable. You can carry them around, they're easy to use. You can use them dry, just scribble on, or you could wet the tip and scribble on with a wet tip and you'll get a different effect. Here I have put the watercolour pencils on different Stampin' Up products and shown you the different effects with the different types of solutions you can use to blend with them. They are water-based, so all solutions are water-based. So you can use an aqua painter, which is basically a brush with water in the barrel. You can just see it, maybe you can see it, I'm not too sure, with water in the barrel there. Or you can use the blender pen, which you can also use with the Stampin' Up ink pens and the Stampin' Up markers and the Stampin' Up ink pads. But this is another good way of using the colour. And the two, although they're both water-based, they do come with produce different results on different card. The other thing you can use is your Wink of Stella, which is brilliant because it adds a nice glittery finish to your project. The Wink of Stella is water-based, so again you can use it in exactly the same way as you would a blender pen or an aqua painter. The last one, which you can get from Stampin' Up, is a spritzer. So you can spritz this onto the paper first of all, or after the paper once you've coloured, and you'll get a slightly different effect again. So this is, now Stampin' Up recommend that you use the water pencils on the watercolour card, obviously, on shimmery white card, if I can get that out, and Whisper White Thick. Now I don't have any Whisper White Thick. The reason is you obviously need something that's going to hold the water. The Whisper White isn't strong enough to hold the water to be able to complete all the techniques. This is the shimmery cardstock. So that is the pencils based purely just coloured in. That is using the aqua painter and that is with the blender pen. So you can see the aqua painter does look more watercolory. The blender pen, it gives it a more, I think, a marker look, a colouring marker look. This is the same thing again on the watercolour cardstock, so that's just plainly coloured in. That is with the aqua painter, and again that is with the blender. So the blender pen does blend it, but the aqua painter will carry the colour further. I also tried it on vellum. Now vellum, as we know, is quite notorious to stamp and colour in on because it isn't water-based, it isn't water soluble, so it doesn't allow the water in, or water penetrable, I should say. But you can see with the that's with the blender pen and that's with the aqua painter. Now the aqua painter's obviously bent it slightly, so the blender pen might be a more suitable medium to use to colour in on vellum, and that's how it looks just with just coloured in just the pencil. And you can see it's not moving, it's not going anywhere, it's not smudging. I also did it on the craft cardstock, you know, the Stampin' Up do a 12 by 12 craft cardstock. You've got the blender pen at the top and the aqua paint at the bottom, so it will hold. I mean, the craft cardstock is a thicker cardstock anyway, so you can use it, but you won't be able to stretch that. You won't be able to put too much water on there, not as much water as on the watercolour card. And then finally, I did it on the black. Now, the black I wasn't too sure what would work. As you can see, coloured in, just doing plain colouring, it's brilliant. You can really see the pigments. So that's brilliant for doing open stamping and colouring in, because it really will show the colours. Now I've got an example of that later on. Now I did try it with the watercolour blend, with the blender and the aqua painter. That's the aqua painter and that's the blender. It does wash it out. You can use it if you wanted to use a very chalky, washy out look, but it's probably best just to leave it as the pure pigment, as the coloured just coloured in. So what I wanted to do was show you a couple of techniques. First of all, just to do some straight blending, because what you can do with the watercolour pencils is that you can blend the colours together, so you can get different colours. Now I'm going to use these three greens, the Old Olive, Early Espresso and Pacific Point, to do a kind of almost a landscape scheme. This could be a brilliant way for a background. So you just scribble it in. The great thing about pencils is that you do not have to be accurate. Just scribble, 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 and then I'm using a big pen, aqua painter, and as you can see, you can blend this all in together. Now if it gets a bit, what I do is I squeeze some of the water out and then pick it up again if it gets a little bit, if you feel it's a bit dry. Okay, so you can, as you can see, you can blend that through. It carries the ink very well, and that could make a brilliant kind of stamp over that as a scene. And what I can show you is something I did like that. This is one of the projects that we'll be doing in March. This is going to be the kit Saturday. And as you can see, I did the same technique and built the colour up and stamped over it. So that's doing it like that. So if we wanted to spritz on it, we could just scribble colour down and spritz over. Now this won't be as blended as the other one, but you can see what you can do then is move the ink. You can move your piece of card and move your ink. Put a lot of water on there because the watercolour card will take it, and you get a very different effect and a very different background. The one thing you do always need with you with doing watercolour is card. It's card, obviously. It's toilet roll, something to mop up. Because what you can also do is you can use this to take ink away. So this will give you highlights. This will give you dimension in your project. So you can lift the colour. There you go. You lifted the colour away. It's almost like an eraser as well. So if you've gone wrong, so you just spritz some water on there. Wanted to change something there, take it lighter, there you go, taking the colour away. So that's spritzing and blending. What I wanted to show you was a little bit of colouring as well. This is the new paper from Celebration, so you can only get this paper if you spend £45 more and then choose it. And what I've got here, I've scribbled some colours onto some cardstock. It could be any cardstock. Watercolour card or the shimmery card is probably best. And I'm going to use my blended pen, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to pick up the colour from my palette, there you go, and then I'm going to colour in here. As you can see, the blended pen picks up quite a bit of colour, and you can do quite a bit of colouring. And obviously if you had a bigger section, this is where you can get your graduation and your blending in. There you go. So you can just colour like that, and that's a nice simple way of picking up the colour and just colouring in, and you can have great fun doing that. Always scribble on a piece of cardstock to clean your blender pen. And like I said before, you can do exactly the same thing with your Wing Castella. So you pick up the colour, choose a flower and colour in, and what you'll get is a lovely sparkly effect. Now this doesn't carry the colour as far as the blender pen. Obviously it's not designed to be a blender pen, but it works extremely well. So that is your clear Wing Castella, a must-have in any book. Again, clean your nib off. Now what you can do is you can take two colours. So we take the yellow and a blue, something quite bizarre, a colour combination I guess. And then using a more fine tip pen, we can blend those colours together and we'll get a different colour. And then we can choose a different flower and do the same thing. Now I've done this with the aqua painter. I do prefer doing it with the blender pen, I have to say, because I think the aqua painter can sometimes pick up a little bit too much water. But that's how you can use a palette to colour in with your watercolour pencils. The last thing I want to show you is stamping and colouring. Now, that's what I did quickly beforehand. This is using the Wink of Stella again. I don't know if you can see that on the dress. See it sparkly? Probably not. But this time I'll use the aqua painter. And I want to show you how you can use your pencils really easily to do some brilliant painting. I am not an artist. I will fully admit that. I am not an artist. Right, this is real red. And all I'm going to do, actually, first of all, what I should explain is what I have done is I've stamped this in the archival black ink pad, and I've covered it with clear embossing powder and heat embossed. All Stampin' Up inks are water-based, so if you stamp the outline with their inks and then can colour in with the watercolour base, you will merge it will all merge together. The archival black is not water-based, it should stay still. However, I find it better if you heat emboss it, then you know very well it will not, the line will not shift, and you'll have a clear, pure line, which with some techniques you want to make sure you've got that clear outline. So all I'm going to do, I figured that round the waist will be the darkest part. So I'm going to scribble a whole load of colour down around the waist there, and a crop there. Okay, and then I'm going to get my aqua painter. And I'm just going to blend it out. So leaving it dark up there, and it's going to come down and get lighter at the bottom. And the same here for her top. Keep as much colour in that central section, make that look darker. If you're not happy, I'm just going to put a little bit here. These I assume are the petticoat, you know, the folds of the dress. So I'm going to want them a little bit darker because they're underneath and they're going to be having a shadow. But you can just continue, and if you want to add a bit more, it's probably best to wait for it to dry a little bit before you add too much colour. This is the shimmery cardstock. The watercolour cardstock will carry it a bit better, but you don't want to get things too wet. Okay, clean my, using a bit of tissue paper, clean my brush off. Now for the skin tones, I've been